Hello and welcome back to the B&H virtual event space. We're bringing back Vail Fucci to talk about gaining clients and followers with behind the scenes reels. Because really as good a portfolio as you can put together in this day and age, that extra mile can go a long way. How's it going, Vail?
It's going great. So happy to be back here today.
Nice. I was really excited to see this topic coming up in our event planning because a lot of the times we'll hit on general stuff and you have to hit so many different points, but I think spending a good amount of time on this specific thing makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. I think so. So
And I was also excited to see the DJI Osmo, and because because you're showing behind the scenes, here's my Osmo,
oh, here's
and
mine. We can do
let's
cheers. Here you go.
nice. Oh, maybe a little too close. Hi.
Hi.
So the Osmo is a great little tool. I mean, if anything, it's super useful, but I'd honestly say I have to say it's just equally fun. So,
My kids love mine. So
like I said, fun, right? All right. So, let me take this chance to remind our live audience, please drop any questions you have into the YouTube chat. Vail, if your last webinar with us was any indication, I do not want to be the guy that gets between the audience and the insight you're about to share. So please take it away.
well, thank you, Fred. All right, everyone. So welcome. Glad to have you here. So I am excited to share with you about behind the scenes BTS reels and why it's so important that you can have them for your business and how easy you can do this. So first, I'm just going to start out with some examples so that you get a little bit of a sense. Now, this first one's, it's a bit flashy with it there, but don't worry. You can do stuff like this and you can do stuff that's simple and it'll still be great for you. So let me just start off here and we'll start with WPPI. And let's start. All right, so there's one just to hit it off. Oh, and there's being you can actually hear the sound. I'm going to go to one more here. Just another example. This is again another one of the high production value ones. All righty. So that just gets us started there. And if we come on back and I hit present, there we go and present. And there's a lot of these different ones that I have here. I'll get back to them later in the presentation with it, but just to kind of start you off with some of a primer of what these types can be. And this is actually from a colleague of mine that I actually met at WPPI, Randy Roberts. I'll use some of these later on in the presentation to kind of give you examples of the different things that I'm talking about. So what is a BTS reel? It stands for BTS is behind the scenes, or if you're getting ready for school, back to school. But right now it's BTS in this presentation here. So it is generally, we want to have short video segments. These are not going to be super long things. You want to aim for anywhere between 15 seconds to a minute tops is what you're going to be having there. It gives your audience a glimpse into the process. And generally, the footage that you're going to be getting, as you saw before, is set up, the process in action, candid moments, and the final product that you're actually generating. So, why do we want to do BTS Reels? I mean, really, do we need one more thing on social, different content that we need to be doing? Well, here's one of the reasons why. Video overall performs better than photo on social. One way or another, even if we don't like it, that's the case. So, video gets almost 2 times more engagement, and video gets about 20% more interactions. And to top it all off, Reels generally are favored more by the algorithms on things like Instagram, Facebook, you name it, just because they know that there's going to be more engagement with that. So, why would you want to do BTS Reels? Well, first of all, they're great social media content. Your audience really enjoys seeing what you put into your day-to-day working, is what it goes on to do with it there, because a lot of people, they don't realize, they think just how cool our jobs are, and they are like, how did they get this done? How, if you're on a really cool type of how event that's happening, how, what was going on behind the scenes, all those different things, it gives them a glimpse into the background there. It also helps build trust and with your followers, and showing how the stuff that you're providing really is real. It's not just all AI generated content nowadays. And it is used overall to tell a story. We as human beings are kind of conditioned to really like stories. We've done that over eons, and that's why the bits on Instagram is so popular and successful with stories. And lastly, it makes the followers feel more connected to you as a person that they are following, because you are usually giving them this inside track as to what you're doing. It also makes for really good website content. So with this, it not only is just good and interesting for people to look at when you're putting on fresh content and relevant content. And nowadays, as AI is able to just go better and better, it's only a matter of time, if they're not already doing this, of being able to even look at the content of your video that you're putting on there, of them being able to see, does this content also, is it applicable to what it is that people are searching for? Additionally, it increases visitor time on your site, which is valuable. The more time they're spending on there, the more engaged and connected they are to you as a brand. You are, with these BTS videos, able to demonstrate your skills and value of the work that you're doing without just writing it out and telling them. Showing is always better than telling at the end of the day. And then lastly, the potential clients can see how thorough and professional your services are that you're offering with it there. Is it going to be, first of all, just by presenting these and it looking really nice when you're doing it, oh, it shows that you took the time to make this stuff. And additionally, they literally get a backstage pass to being able to see exactly what their own type of services would be like if they were to hire you. And additionally, it can be used as bonus material for clients and vendors. These clients and vendors often love getting this BTS footage with it there. So when I'm shooting anything, even if I wasn't photographing myself doing the action, stuff like that, I often will bring around my camera and get little clips here and there of what was going on for the event for the particular client, so that they have that, and then they are able to use that as a means of marketing material on their own social media channels, which thus in turn, if they're using it, oftentimes and most times they'll end up tagging me. And so it's actually a reciprocal type of symbiotic relationship there, that by virtue of them using that footage, my name is then going out further. And additionally, that overall unexpected gift footage strengthens that client and vendor relationship, because in a lot of these different situations, I'm not just using these, not using, never using my clients, they're using me. I'm being hired by these clients, and they have the opportunity in the future to hire me again. So anything I can do to strengthen that relationship is something I want to do. So before you ever do BTS footage, you can't just assume it's okay to do BTS. It's always a good idea to ask in advance about BTS footage. The only thing I'd say that you can sometimes get away with before asking them specifically is if you're just doing a shot of your own setup of your, say, for example, putting up a bunch of lights or putting up background gear and stuff like that. But even then, a lot of times, depending on how secure the area that you're in, they may not want footage of inside their offices going out. So your best bet is to always ask with that. If possible, if you're going to be then using pictures of the people that you're photographing with it there in your BTS videos, make sure you have discussed with the organization about if people are comfortable with this being on camera with it. And even better, if you have an actual formal model release there. And lastly, even if someone gives you a blanket thing saying, like, we're at a conference, sure, you can video anybody that's there. Use your head, get a sense of whether people are comfortable being on video or not. You want to be respectful because at the end of the day, having somebody look uncomfortable or feel wrong about having their footage go out there is more damaging to your brand than it is going to be beneficial in any way. And last but not least, everything that you put out there should be showing people in a positive light. You're never going to want to be going like, "Oh, look, this is what they did wrong." We want to show everything great. So where should you post these BTS reels? Everywhere, anywhere, everywhere you can with it there. Now, I actually had a really interesting question come up from somebody today saying, oh, I used to want to do these and I wanted to stick them in my Instagram, but then it made things kind of feel like a little bit cluttered amongst my beautiful work and stuff that I'm showing. There's two different ways you can kind of go about this. One, you can go ahead and just post this type of material in stories. And then from stories, make sure that you make those little pieces that actually, let me just hit escape so you can see on my profile of these little pieces at the bottom where you can store your different stories so that when someone goes to your profile, they can easily go. And for example, if you want to see all things BTS, well, then you can go and hopefully my internet will work. It may. There we go. And it'll show all my different BTS footage that people can go through and look to. So if you don't want this type of thing showing up in your overall Instagram feed with it, you can always do that. The other thing, though, is I would say at the end of the day, it is really engaging to people of content wise. So if they're just seeing, like, for example, I'm a headshot photographer and event photographer. So most of my stuff, if you were just going through before me having BTS, it's like, here you go. Here's a lot of heads. That's great. Okay. You know what then they want to actually click on that makes it exciting for them? They look for when that has that little real sign there and they go, ooh, let's click on that, see what they had to say. So there is value to still having that material. Okay, back to our presentation here and present. All right. So you can go and use that material in all sorts of different places. So with it from Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, your website, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, you name it. If it has the ability, oh yeah, and X used to be known as Twitter, with it there. If it's possible to upload video, you should do it with it there. The thing to keep in mind is that some of these, it may be better for you to shorten them down to like 15-second clips or so for things like your Instagram stories or for YouTube shorts to get better engagement with it there. Now I'm just going to show you, oh yeah, and that's Reddit. You wouldn't think so, but it's also another spot that can be good because it's very well indexed by Google. So we're always going for anything to help with SEO. And I don't know if I mentioned TikTok. Yeah. So going from there, I'm going to just give you an example. If we go back to our friend Randy here, and we're going to see first on her site on Instagram, you can see what she's posted here. And so I'm going to click on this one, and you're going to see all the different places that she's posted it. And let me get the video. There we go. Giving a little flavor of the event here.
Hello, my name's Randy Bauer, and I am with Randy Roberts Photography and House of Exposure. And today I'm using AI technology to capture event photography and deliver photos on the spot. Today I'm photographing the Sandpiper's 32nd annual spring fashion show. This is my 3rd year doing so, and I absolutely love the Sandpipers. They're so sweet. And today I'm treating them to AI technology spot my photos and delivering the photos to all of the guests on the spot. Let me show you how it works.
All right. Sorry to cut you off there, Randy, but we'll show then the other ways that you did. From there, she has it on her own website. So then it goes and it's the exact same video. She has that content-wise, but it's actually a slightly longer video, a longer form, because that's where you would expect people to be willing to be sitting there and listening longer for it on there. And then we go back to here. And then also on her LinkedIn. There you go. And you can see she's used it there. So she's targeting a variety of different audiences. She is putting in text that when she goes and uses it on LinkedIn is going to be very specific to the audience that you're going to find on LinkedIn, which will be different than the audience that you're going to most likely find on Instagram. But still being able to use this footage that you have in so many different ways. Okay, so back here, let's go here with it there. Okay, with it and bonus material permission. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes here of what everybody cares about. If we're on B&H, we care about gear. I love gear. Yeah, so anyway, here's the thing is, yes, we can all get bogged down and go like, I need so much gear if I'm ever going to do this and make it look good. It's not necessarily true. You can literally just start out, and it's the way I did most of my BTS stuff, with just this, just your smartphone. Now, there are ways to make this get better and better with your smartphone and then up towards all sorts of different levels of stuff. So real quick, we'll talk about this with the pluses and minuses and stuff like that. So the great thing is this is with you all the time. So if you're all of a sudden like, oh, I need to have this, and you'll see in a second, I'll show you one that our friend Randy did when she was doing a piece actually for People magazine with Meta World Peace. She was like, oh, this is an incredible opportunity. I want to make sure I get this, but it's not the type of thing where it's okay for me to be bringing in a person additionally with me to be filming different stuff. And I got to get this done and quickly before I do my actual job. That's where using your cell phone, great idea to do. So let's go and look at that footage and then we'll see why, you might want to use something different and why it's great. And there we go. And so here is Randy. Right.
Join Randy and Serena as we attend the baby shower of Maya and Ron Artest. There's Serena, the best wardrobe stylist in Los Angeles. All of the details were immaculate. The shade of blue in the florals and the intimate decor designed by Archive Rentals. Oh my gosh, such classy details here. And the catering by A La Mode Catering was fantastic, not to mention the other sponsors, especially the Hidden Sea Wine, Luke Belair, Hermosa Brewing, and Prince Pizza. When Maya and Aisha asked me to document the event for People magazine, of course I said yes. True to lifestyle in photography has always been my go-to, and I just love photographing real people and telling stories. And People magazine is the perfect publication for me. Make sure you read the comments for lots of tips and also the link to the article.
All right. So that gives you a good sense of when you're looking through it there. You'll notice that, is it the world's steadiest thing? No. The newer the iPhone, the more steady it is, and the better you are with steadying your hands and being careful with it. But it's going to be the best that you can make for it. So then there are different ways of making that a bit more stable for yourself. And that if you want to do it, that is going on the lines of trying out a gimbal. Now, my first experience with gimbals ever were this. I will show you. A giant one. I went whole hog with it there, because for a lot of the footage that I do, because I use Spot My Photos, it involves my phone. And so I can't have my phone on my camera taking the footage of me doing BTS if I need that in part of my rig to get information up to the cloud. So instead, I went whole hog. And the thing I found is that I have a lot of respect for videographers now. A, this thing is really heavy. B, being able to actually level it all out and get it all balanced so that it works properly is just well beyond my capabilities, even though I have a background in engineering. So it was just something that it was heavy. It was big for me to bring. I'd have to bring a whole nother, at the time, DSLR camera, or now a mirrorless camera, along with me. So unless I need that uber cinematic look and switching of different lenses and stuff like that, this just wasn't doing the trick for me. Okay, so then there's the other aspect of going and using these different nice little gimbals that you guys can see on here that work with attaching to your phone. This is something I have seen now a lot in practice. This is actually from this picture over here was taken at the Best of Boston event that I took the other night. And that was one of the production company's people that was on there taking BTS footage for them using phones and using gimbals to do it there. And she actually had two gimbals on her at one time so that she could be getting all the different footage. And frankly, the stuff that she produced looked pretty darn great, even just right from using a cell phone there. And then comes my all-time favorite, which we heard Fred discuss earlier, which is this little one. This is the DJI Pocket 3 with it there. This thing is just amazing. It's itty bitty, teeny tiny, perfectly on the gimbal, balanced completely by itself. It's set so I can take vertical video, which is exactly what most of what we're going to want for most of our stuff for social, but it can also do horizontal video. And the resolutions and stuff like that are out of sight. And it, even with the creator content one, came with a microphone that pairs with it so that I get great sound. So that is what I most of the time am using for my gear at this point. Additional things that sometimes I've seen people use, they'll also do these different action cams, ones that you could even be wearing. This is literally on somebody when they were at a mud run this past weekend that we were at, and they had that to wear their whole time. And other little ones that you can even clip onto your cap that are very, very small. So just to kind of go through the pluses and minuses of them. First, benefits of gimbal use. Overall, that's going to give you that smooth, cinematic, professional look that when you look at it, you just somehow know, ooh, this looks better than just somebody hand-holding with a cell phone, or even, frankly, hand-holding with your different mirrorless cameras and DSLRs. It allows you to move around the scene. You don't just have it, say, locked down to a tripod in an area there. And you can get a variety of angles, high, low, all sorts of different things. And you even with some of them have subject tracking capabilities. So that's really great if you're a single person team going out there, single person team, me, myself, and I, that you're going out there and you don't have an assistant to be able to do it, that this can go and still track you and get dynamic movement in your shot. So which rig is right for you? Well, when you're someone who's just starting out, by all means, start simple and build up with it there. Start with just your cell phone. That's a great way. You don't have to really invest in getting any additional stuff. But as you go along, you'll probably start to say, okay, I'm ready to move up in it. You'll want to decide for yourself of whether you want to do with one of those little additional type of rigs that you can make for the gimbal for your phone. I personally, again, I love this because this actually for the Osmo gets so tiny and it comes with a little package and it packages down and I'm able to just stick this right into my backpack of stuff like that. And I've got everything I need right there and it holds a charge really well with it overall. So I don't need a big additional piece to be brought along with me. This is all I need realistically for doing little bits of having BTS footage at anything. Okay, I'm going to pop that on. And actually, it has even nice little built-in tripod there. Boop, so I can set it down. So there's that. The different ones that are the little individual, little small ones, cameras to have on you, have pretty much most of the same type of features and stuff like that that you're going to find on a cell phone. Small sensor, not great in low light, really light, very compact. But the difference is that you're not going to be able to easily just upload stuff right to things like Instagram right from it, from those little wearable ones versus your phone, assuming you have either Wi-Fi or a good connection to cellular data, you're able to pop that stuff right up in real time practically. The next is that gimbal plus cell phone area there. Again, now you've got that smooth look, that cinematic look with it going on. With it, it's fairly light. Still a bit of a size to kind of bring it along with you. Some are more compact and twist down to smaller than others. A lot of them are going to have more controls and additional features than you would have with your cell phone alone, in the fact that it can do subject tracking, with it there, and some will do a hyperlapse. That's where you'll see that you're moving through a scene really fast with it, as opposed to time lapse where it's just, you're sitting in one spot and seeing as it goes by, and makes it time pass by much faster. And you tend to have more control than the phone alone in the app for different things there. Next is the integrated camera gimbal, as I was showing there with the Osmo with it there, the Osmo 3, super smooth. You can pair it with the phone to be able to get things right up online right away, but it's not the type of thing where it has that ease of just popping it right up immediately there. Super small. Its ease of use is tremendous. I was literally able to just hand it over to my intern on our very first day and say, here, go get some footage. Gave her a little bit of pointers, and boom, she was good. She got me some great footage, which I'll actually see it in a little bit later in the presentation. So it's just so much easier to use, we found, than other teams that have tried it with even the phone gimbal. They still found the Osmo to be easier with it. It's also really surprisingly good in low light. It has a bigger sensor than the type of one that you would find in your phone, just because it's got a dedicated camera right on it. That's what its intended purpose is. Next is using your camera alone. Assuming that you have multiple camera bodies with it there, if you're at a job and you want it, you can stick it on a tripod. You can have someone hand holding it there. The more IBIS, in-body image stabilization, that we're having, or lens stabilization, vibration reduction, it's making it easier and easier to be able to actually handhold and get some decent footage with these. The problem is that no matter what, it's still going to be a little bit shaky with it there. It obviously has a great big sensor, which is great. You get the cinematic abilities that you have with all the different lenses. It just looks really nice with it there. The weight is pretty darn heavy on your hands for a while. Kind of mid-size range of size with it there. No real extra features. It's just doing the video. You might be able to get some slow-mo in, but that's about it. You have total manual control over it there, which is nice, of being able to get exactly how you want it to look. And then lastly, you have that monster that I showed before of the camera plus gimbal, which is, unless you're really a videographer out there, I would stray away from it. It is a tremendous exercise holding a gimbal, holding that, going back and forth with it there. Yes, it is super smooth. It is heavy. It is big. And it is by far and away the most difficult to use. As you go along with it, I have the old RS2 from DJI. They have made it simpler and simpler as it goes along, and they've made ones like, I believe the 4 now even makes it so that you can have it natively be shooting vertical video with it. That's good for your social content. But overall, I would say, for my purposes, having it mean that I need to bring a whole nother dedicated camera along with me that's a large body and stuff like that, it just for my BTS usage isn't worth it. I don't need the different types of levels of zoom and cinematic look that's going to come from using it on one of the actual cameras. All right, next is audio is so important in some cases. If you are going to just be having things like a time lapse, or you are going to just be laying over music over it, or having an audio overlay with it, then using the onboard mic is okay. But if you're getting like a testimonial, you're getting people talking and stuff like that as the main content with it, they're going along with it, you absolutely should have some form of microphone that you're using to record this, because onboard mics on your phone, on these little cameras, all these things are just truly terrible. It's one of those things that right away is going to show the difference between a professional level BTS video is the audio that you're providing. And easy ways you can do that. I initially, back in the day, had the Rode Wireless Goes, and I have the little lav there with it. Don't necessarily need to have the little lav. I have that just for in cases where I don't want to have the little squares showing. But then I ended up getting with the Osmo 3, the creator combo, which actually comes with a prepared microphone there that holds a charge very, very well. And I ended up using that more recently for all the stuff that I've been doing with BTS with my with the Osmo, and it's great. It's super, super simple to use. So when you're doing your BTS stuff, it's important to know who is your audience. What are you going to be shooting for? Because the material you're going to shoot for that audience is going to be different for one type of audience versus another. So, for example, if you're shooting this specifically to attract clients, you want to kind of really highlight the benefits of your service. If you're doing it to attract followers, you probably want to first off show exclusive content, stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else with it there. Really highlight any of those important things that, if, for example, I'm shooting in a stadium, being able to show behind the scenes of what those little bits are like there that are views that people never get to see. If I'm attracting for photographers as my viewers, I'm going to really highlight the gear and the process that I'm doing. Additional to that is what you're going to do orientation wise of it. Now, traditionally, video for the longest time, now movies and TV programs and everything that we see has been landscape, but entered in the smartphone. This has become so important in so many of our lives that now it's changed how we're viewing video because this is how we stand there. And unless we take the time to go like this, which you think it doesn't take that much time or effort to do that, but people still don't do it. They just are keeping it upright like this. And so overall, vertical videos are becoming more and more and more the standard. The only thing where you're really going to find that it's going to be a better viewing situation is if it's for people viewing it on the computer. So when I picture that more likely it's content that somebody is viewing, not just on their phone, on my website, going through there, it's more likely that they're taking the time and are really diving into my site. That's when I'm going to use a landscape video. Otherwise, most situations, I'm going to lean hard into using vertical. Now, this is tricky because generally, the way we view our world with our own eyes, you'll notice our eyes are set to the sides here. We view panoramically, we view landscape wise, we don't visually see like this. So when we're trying to cover a story and explain different things, explaining it vertically is not necessarily intuitive. So you kind of have to get used to, as you go through and you're filming these things, mentally how you're going to tell a story vertically instead of horizontally with it. And we'll get into how you can do that. Okay. So getting a good behind the scenes video, one of the absolute key things is planning and ahead. Now, some people will literally go out, write out a shot list of what they're planning. I'll be honest, I'm nowhere near that level of planning when it comes to my BTS stuff. I'm more thinking of the actual shoot that day because at the end of the day, the most important thing is my client being happy with the results. It's not the BTS video that I produce that's an addendum to it there that's helpful for me and a little bit helpful for them. Okay. So what I try to do is, if I am thinking of it, to think of what I want to convey in advance. Again, think of what is that audience that we're going to? What are we thinking of? And then we need to think of the shots that we need to accomplish that. Okay. So usually first that's preparation and setup. Going and getting an establishing shot, a wide shot, is a great idea. You saw in the case of Randy's video that it had a great big shot of where that actual event was taking place as the opening shot with it there. A wide shot is a typical thing that you'll end up doing there. It gives people just grounding as to what it is that they're seeing. Additionally, you can do things of setup of your shoot. One thing that often makes this go for people that makes it intriguing to audiences that are more like clients is to do time lapse or speed up the footage in post with it there. So time lapse you can do just very easily on your phone. Most all phone models will have the ability. You do that. I just find some place to set it up if I didn't have something along with me. Sometimes people bring little phone stands to put stuff on, but it literally my little trusty piece like that, I can just set it down on some different place and have it go and video me. You can do that, or you can have it track you through doing like the Osmo type of thing where it's actually, or the gimbal will track your motion. Additionally, if you are doing this instead of an audience to photographers, this is something you may not want to have really sped up. This is probably the part that they may be most interested in. So you're going to do close-ups on the gear. You're going to possibly even get some narration of you showing or explaining what gear you're using and why. Next is shots to get during the shoot. It's the photographer in action. So wide shots showing the entire setup. Well, that's easy if you're doing again, a landscape orientation one. Doing that for video with it being vertical orientation is harder. So oftentimes what you have to do to get that wide shot showing the entire setup, you have to take it and pan. And when I say pan, pan is this side to side motion. And you're going to want to slowly go across like this, just like that. Now, the key is not to do it super fast because it's going to just be too much of a blur for people to actually take in what is being shown there in front of them in the actual video. So you want to make sure you hold steady and just go across and get your scene. Okay. If you are there by yourself and you can't pan or you don't have, tracking and that type of thing, that can be a little harder. So one thing you can do is you can choose to either shoot it in a landscape orientation and then in post have it track through that actual scene with it there. Or you can shoot it vertically, but very, very wide shot of it there. You're going to be a lot smaller in it. It is what it is, but it still kind of gives that establishing thing. You'll want some over-the-shoulder shots for the photographer's perspective, as if you're looking right at the subject there, what you're seeing, as well as back the other way from the other side of what that person is seeing from the other side and how seeing you interact with it there with the actual clients and stuff, how you're directing people, assuming you're doing stuff with people and not just fruit or objects. Good luck getting you interacting with fruit, but with it. And then also get the different adjustments you're doing, adjusting the lights and stuff. Those are all key things that are useful for having that in your actual video. You also want to get detailed close-up shots of things that will make for really good B-roll. Things like hands, people's smiles, the back of the camera, close-up on your actual computer of the shots as they're coming through if you're tethering, stuff like that. And also you want to aim for getting some shots with emotion because we want to give our audience something to connect with. So humor, surprise, joy. If you go back and you watch that video that I first had with it there of, even though it was just bringing in stills, it showed a normal shot of a guy looking nice and handsome, but then the second shot was him being like, like that. Things to catch people off guard, to make them laugh, or just overall, a connection. Then the post-shoot elements. You're going to get shots of close-up of the camera, laptop, displaying those captured images and reviewing those images with clients, ideally. Close-ups of the photographer, and then even better, the client's reactions to the photos when they're like, oh my God, these are amazing. This is incredible. Stuff like that. And shot list there of going into things of, additionally, you may need to have, if it's possible, a narration or voiceover with it there. So you can do that with yourself of doing the photographer's process, talking about step by step as to what you did, so that you may have cutaways of, it may not just be a voiceover type of thing. You may film like you're sitting there and talking about what it was, and then it cuts to these different parts with it, or you may just use the audio. You may have a client testimonial where after you've done all this BTS footage and you've done all your job there, that you're lucky enough that they will say, hey, that's a great job. I totally want you to do this more. Let me tell other people about how great you are. You may be able to record that. And then a participant reaction to the experience. If overall you're just seeing them be like, oh, this is amazing. I can't believe how great it was being photographed by you. That's different than the client who hired you type of thing, talking about it. Like, say, a model at a shoot, talking about how great you were as a photographer. So before you ever record, here are things that your checklist, because you don't want to go and you've done all this stuff and afterwards you're like, no, I totally forgot XYZ. So first is deciding what orientation, vertical or horizontal. Next is the resolution. You'll find on all the different cameras and stuff, you have lots of different options. For behind the scenes stuff, I wouldn't recommend going lower than 1080p, but going higher than 4K is just a giant waste with it there. Most all the different things online nowadays don't actually accept even images going higher than 1080p for doing the vertical videos and stuff. Next is your frame rate. If you want it to be looking very cinematic, you'd be doing about that 24 frames per second. Anything that's that 50 or higher is going to be in the slow-mo range, that you're going to be able to make it to slow down nicely, make it look epic, of bringing things down nice and slow. Make sure your white balance is set. We don't have the luxury like you do of it being in RAW with photos there of fixing it up afterwards. That white balance is baked in, so it's better to get that right instead of trying to fix it afterwards. Audio, make sure your levels are great. You don't want them so high that they're clipping, where it's like you can't make out differentiation of people's volumes with it there, and not so low that you can't hear the subject. The color profile for you as to what you're going to choose, depending on your level of experience, you may just choose what is the default in the camera, or you may choose log so that it's kind of this one that looks and takes away a lot of the contrast, but it captures more information and allows you to tweak the stuff more afterwards. Shutter speed. With it there, make sure it's not too fast with it there, because if it gets too fast, it ends up looking choppy and the motion looks weird. ISO, whether it's you're doing it manually or using it for exposure compensation, make sure it's right. Power, make sure you have enough battery. See how long it'll last. And memory card, see how much memory you have there to make sure it lasts long enough for your project. All right. So once you've gotten those in there, you may be ready to kind of give it that Hollywood feel, so that it's not just like lumbering, going with the behind the scenes type of thing there. Different ways you can do that. We talked about time lapse and hyperlapse. Time lapse, again, where it's just sitting still and getting it and taking still shots that it assembles so that everything looks sped up. Hyperlapse is you're moving at the same time as doing it. Slow-mo, it just has that tendency. It's used a lot nowadays. First of all, it makes things steady or steadier than they might have been if you were having to do things handheld. And it just kind of makes things look like, ooh, that's so cool in slow-mo. Next is push in or pull back. A push in is just as it sounds, where you're getting closer, pushing into the scene. Pull back, you're pulling back wider. Pan, as we discussed earlier, moving side to side. Again, all these things, particularly the pan, you want it to be slow as you're going, slow and smooth. You can do low angle, shooting from low, coming up, and high angle. You could pretend like you're a drone coming in into the scene. And you need to do that sound effect at the same time as you do it, I swear, or else it doesn't work, or not. And you can do the matrixy, go and be around your subject of just pretending like this is me here right now, getting it, and I'm like going and panning around and filming myself with it there. You do that around the subject and get all the different views and angles. Different ones that also are more advanced stuff, in-camera transitions, whip pans, so that you end or begin your different scenes with, you just go from quickly at the end as you're done video, like that, so that it gets that blur. And then when it starts at the blur to that, then you can easily have in transition with that. Another is that you bring things into an object so that it goes almost to black. Oftentimes, if you just need something, and your hand, and out with that, in and out with that. So that you're, again, able to have that transition, and then it just makes things more natural. I prefer not to use the hand. It's better to go and use something in the actual scene. Spin rotation, yes, you can do it manually, but a lot of these different ones that you have that are going to be on these on these gimbals have a built-in spin feature that you can just press that and it just rotates the camera. And the most difficult to execute, the walk by wipe, that you go and then you switch it so that you have it be that something starts of one thing and have kind of like a wall or a tree in the middle, and then you move to another that they walk off, and then they kind of bring those two things together, and your brain somehow seams those two things together. It's very cool. I'm not an expert by any means, but I just thought I'd bring it up. You can definitely look it up on YouTube as to ways to execute that. So how do you film without an assistant? Now, this is really important because a lot of us don't have the luxury of having an assistant with us there. You can set most of these things in selfie orientation so you can see where it is, have it set up, can prop it up on found items, rocks, books, you name it. I've stuck it on different things. I've used random different lighting stands I've had and just strapped the cell phone to it with gaff tape. It did the job. Next is to have subject tracking feature, which is, again, that advanced that it's going to watch where I'm going. And then the last new kind of development with a lot of these is that they have magnetic cases. So you can just stick it anywhere that you want and have it aimed on you. And last but not least, sometimes you just ask the kindness of strangers. And you just ask if someone would kindly just take a little bit of footage of you doing whatever it is you want to get the BTS of. So that's taking the video. The big part is the editing. There are different ways you can do this. You can either do it mobile, right on your phone or your iPad, or using your computer. For very simple ones, going with it, using Instagram's features right in natively in it there does a great job. You can put it along to music there. DJI, if you have that, the Mimo app that it comes with, it has these really cool ways of making it into a template and making it look much higher production value. Another one I've really enjoyed and surprised me is Canva. With it, Canva is not just for presentations now on that type of thing. And with it, it is actually for video as well. And it even has an AI function that allows you to just put in some clips. It figures out what it thinks is the best and it puts the whole thing together, which is kind of astounding. And then last but not least is CapCut. That's what you've probably experienced if you're a big TikToker. That is going to give very high production value for your materials. And believe it or not, they actually have a desktop app for it as well that you can use. On the computer, common ones people use will be Adobe Premiere. I am a big fan of Apple's Final Cut Pro. I love it because it's not a subscription. I just pay $300 for it. And I'm good to go with it. It's a nice non-linear editor. It's great. DaVinci Resolve is out there. And again, Canva on the computer, I find is actually much easier to manipulate than doing it through the app with it. So editing advice, where to start? Because once you have all this footage, it can be really daunting. You're like, dude, I just spent all this time and I'm doing my shoot. What do I do? Well, the first thing is if it was taken on a big camera or anything like that, or on the Osmo with it, upload and back up your footage. We don't want to lose that stuff. Then you're going to review your footage. Go through, you can scrub the timeline, go see what seems to kind of tickle your fancy with it. You're going to be looking for those key moments and highlights, funny moments, insightful behind the scenes, visuals that match dialogue and a voiceover if you were lucky enough to get a nice testimonial from somebody. And with it there. So you're going to go through, pick out those different things. I oftentimes actually, when I'm doing this on my computer, I go and I actually add onto the file names like what they were. Like if I was like, nice blonde lady talking about blah, you know, so I can easily identify what it was. So I can pick it and put it back into what I want to put into my actual BTS reel afterwards, instead of it just being like, oh, here's a bunch of file names with it there after I've reviewed it. If I'm doing it on a phone, you can either just heart it, you know, for your favorites, or actually make a separate folder to drag the ones that are the select pieces in that you want. The thing to remember when you're editing, consider that length. Up to 60 seconds with it. Shorter content is always better with this. And then also you're going to want to select some final product images that show how awesome your photography, your project really was, so that at the end, you know, it all comes together. So for editing, there's different things you can do. You can do it either AI, where it literally is, you give it some footage, it throws stuff together and it makes a little piece together, puts it out there. A template where it is going to have like spaces for you. It'll say, we need 8 pieces of footage, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And, you know, you just drag and drop it into there. And last is from scratch, when you're going into one of these editors and you're plopping the different stuff in. So AI, the one that I've experienced that I was surprisingly happy with the results in was, again, Canva with their video editing with it there. Really surprisingly good results. Templates with it there, I find the templates in CapCut just can't, I haven't found anything else mobile-wise that can really match the production value that you're going to see in that. It is impressive with it. The other types of templates that I use is that I get them from things like, I get mine from Storyblocks, but you can get Artlist and Motion VFX and all sorts of things like that out there, that are things that can be plugged into your things that are like Final Cut Pro, Adobe, DaVinci Resolve, all along those lines. those are a whole nother ball of wax of like level of skill to use to stick the stuff into. Nowhere near as easy as like templates that you're going to find on things like Canva or CapCut. But it does, again, have a whole nother level of stuff that you can do with it there. I find that doing the stuff from scratch is better for testimonials. And I will show you why. Because overall, with a testimonial, which I'm going to give you an example of right here. Hold on. If we just go to me. And me on LinkedIn. This is also on my Instagram, but let's see. Okay. So this is one I posted last night. And let me just restart this fella.
Vail and Molly and their Hi guys, my name is Saurav. We hired Vail and Molly and their company to stay right next to our booth for this conference, do headshots. And I can't tell you how much traction we had. There was a line of people all along those 2 days. It's not just the headshots that they were coming here for. The buzz around this whole hall was that both Vail and Molly were having fun. People were having fun. They were looking good and they were getting their pictures done. A lot of them have come back to us and spoken to us and thanked them for their service.
These are amazing. Thank you so much.
I got a lot of business done as well because these people otherwise would never have walked to us and spoken to us. There were many times during the day when the entire hall, people were just sitting on their booths while we had, a bunch of people around here. There was so much buzz. I cannot thank them enough. I'm saying from the core of my heart, this is one of the best experiences we've got. They were so good at it that I don't have words to express.
All right. So you can see how if I was doing that in a template, that if it had very specific things already at certain time points and that it wouldn't necessarily work because it's not going to know exactly when Sorup was going to talk about different things of when I would need to be cutting to different stuff with it there. So having that ability to then customize and make it exactly showing what I want and me picking out exactly the footage that's best for it as opposed to doing it AI wise with it that syncs up with it, that's going to be my best chance of doing that. So again, if you're doing a testimonial like that, highly recommend going and doing it from scratch rather than trying to use a template. And then just to show you the power of that, I posted that last night. And then I ended up getting notified this morning that they ended up reposting that on their company there. And if you'll notice, oh, hold on. I just went to my own thing. Hold on one moment. And here we go. They posted, this is highly great on my part. Let's just go to their site. And they're very funny. So there we go. They have 12,338 followers. They have just broadcast to 12,338 followers that they should suggest that if you wanted to have somebody at a conference do their photography, I'm a great person to do that. I paid nothing for that. That is way better advertising, very targeted that I'm ever going to get from an Instagram ad or a Google ad or anything like that. Priceless. So this is, again, where there's so much value to doing these types of BTS videos. And let's go back here. Let's see. From scratch. If you are doing it from scratch, limit the number of fonts, limit colors. You don't want to look like you're just like all over the place. And we're so close to the end of the time. I'm trying to just speed it up here. Let's see here. Testimonials. If you were to do that, lay down the interview first, clean up the interview audio, then lay down, if you were going to have it background music, and then lay down that B-roll over that appropriate parts. Ideally, try to match up transitions with music with it. Let's see, different platforms require different settings with it there. So again, ones that don't support 4K, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, Pinterest. The only ones that currently do, YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo. And if you're having it on your website, what's more important than having super high resolution is fast load times. So I wouldn't recommend being like, I'm going right to 4K for my website. For it, don't forget to take the time when you're posting your caption. Make sure you've got good SEO terms. Mention those important players with the @ thing, tag them in the actual caption there, even sometimes on the actual video. So it's there in there. Tag everyone that is in the video with a mention so that they're likely to repost that. Silly as enough, but use emojis. People like that. And use a few good hashtags with it there. You don't want to do like 30 hashtags and it just be overwhelming with it there. And last but not least, If you would like to learn more things like this, I would encourage you to learn more with me. You can just scan that QR code there. It takes you to my education site. And hopefully Fred has it there in the chat, a link down to a free 1-month trial to my online group for things where we do all sorts of business coaching and just you name it to help you move your passion into a profitable profession.
Dale, that was great. Excuse me.
A few minutes shorter than the last one.
Yeah, well, it's still all useful information. Speaking of which, for anyone watching, I'd say a lot of the information Vail just shared would be a great start to any content creator type journey. So if you know anyone thinking about it, send them this link. It's you covered a lot in terms of the way a photography business would use the BTS footage, but a lot of the terminology, a lot of the tips and tricks, I'd say cover more than just what you were just talking about. So
yeah,
really
like
cool.
to give you an example, that conference that person was there taking the photos that they gave me the testimonial. They had with them a gimbal to do their own BTS footage of stuff going on there. So it is totally applicable. It is not just for photographers and videographers. I mentioned this talk to lots of my clients saying that this is a helpful thing for if you have different businesses that are looking, going like, how can I get different social media material that's useful that people are actually going to engage with? This is a very easy way to start.
Yeah.
And if it's something that you one thing to mention, if it's something that's an event you really care about, like for example, that first one that Randy was showing, that was the first time she was ever using a thing called Spot My Photos and introducing that to her client base of something. So she hired someone to actually come and take video of her while she's doing that, so that she knows that it's going to be of a very high quality, that she's able to produce that and put that across the board to all different types of things that she wants it to go out there. So when in doubt, you can always hire someone to do your BTS too.
Yeah. When just back to the referral that you got on LinkedIn, so many photography businesses rely so heavily on referrals in the first place. So having control of the actual messaging, reaching prospective clients through editing the way your testimonials look, editing the way the behind the scenes footage is huge as well.
Yeah, I was thrilled beyond belief, honestly, with it there. To see that they repost it. But that actually, believe it or not, happens more often than not, because it shows them in a positive light. So it's something that they're going to want to share with it as well. So
all right, so let's get to some of these questions.
oh, I'm excited.
We've got Steven from YouTube. He's asking, do you find most of BTS are at events or single headshot sessions?
Oh, that's a great question. I should do some at single headshot sessions. I keep meaning to. I've been so outrageously busy with it there. Believe it or not, some that I have done of used for a BTS is actually from my security cam footage. I'm not sure, like this, that this is always recording. So that has actually worked before for me for that. But that's a really great idea, and something that I should do is find somebody that, would be willing to do that. But when I'm doing a situation like that, I tend to be so engaged with the person, and I don't want them to be thinking about that at all. Like most of our BTS stuff that we're doing, it's not where I'm directly filming in on them and stuff like that. Because when I'm doing an individual session, it tends to be such a personal thing with people. I tend to do high-end headshots, so they are paying a lot for my attention to be on them and nothing else.
True.
But
do you find there's a line of oversaturation that you don't want to cross when, like maybe the numbers of video during the course of a day, or how off, just so that you're not flooding someone's feed?
Yeah, that's a good point. So for example, I wouldn't, if I'm posting on LinkedIn or Instagram, I wouldn't make every single thing that I'm posting just be BTS. I would mix it up. I'd have some where it's like, I did one I recently posted of a photographer. I went to DC, John Meadows, for the two of us doing headshots together at an event and getting lots of them done in a very short span of time. So I had that done and had it on time lapse to watch us for it. And so I set it to the music Flight of the Bumblebee. Um, so that's comical, with it. But then I wouldn't make the very next thing I post on LinkedIn be either another time lapse video like that. I might go and put in pictures from the actual event of showing what the results were, or it could be something totally different, because you don't want it to just be like nothing but BTS in there. It's the same thing of that great question that I had this morning beforehand of like, well, I don't want my entire Instagram being nothing but that. You don't have to. Using things like using stories, using that, and kind of mixing it up there would be my suggestion.
Cool. So towards the end of the presentation, you had, what the settings that you would work out to match between cameras. I wholeheartedly agree, especially if you're using two, not even three, but like anything more than one camera, you need them to match up as much as possible.
Yeah.
For those people that are just starting out, that are, considering using their phone for the first time or picking up an Osmo Pocket, do you find that auto mode on a BTS cam is good enough if it's the only one that you're using?
Yes, absolutely. The thing I would say is to learn how to use is exposure compensation, which is one of the least known things and used features that is on your phone that is so incredibly simple that for right now, I'm just going to bring it right up actually, of when I am shooting on this here. And let's see if we can see. Let's see, is it going to focus in? Okay.
Yep.
If I just try, this is hard to talk at the same time. If I press on here, and is that making our lovely...
It's refocusing.
It's refocusing. It's trying to find me.
It found you.
It found me. If I just press on there, and it will have a little yellow sun. Here we go. If I go like that.
I think it, because of the yellow sun.
Yes, because the sun, it's gone.
Focus,
The sun has set. But as you do that on your phone, if you press on that there, a little box is going to come up, which will have a sun. You can then press it up for making things go brighter, or down to make things go darker with it there. It's the same thing in the Osmo 3. You can tell it, no camera, I want it to be brighter or darker with it. It'll be like EV is what it'll say for exposure value is what it'll come up for. But that's actually exposure compensation. And that's really, really powerful for a number of reasons. One is because a lot of times you might have situations where either you're backlit and it's then making you too dark. Another is if you're a person of color and you have a dark shade of skin, it's going to oftentimes try to make it brighter than it should be with it there. So dialing those levels in makes a huge difference. But absolutely going with the auto to go with it there, even if it goes on its own up a little bit faster shutter speed and stuff like that than what would be ideal for cinematic perfectness, it's okay. Like at the end of the day, people just don't care that much. Yeah. So,
and then that's sort of what the editing is there for too, right? So,
yeah,
you lock in the moments that you look good on camera. If your BTS camera does happen to move out of, overcompensates a little bit, that's the perfect time to throw one of your headshots or
exactly. Anytime
right
there's a mistake, throw over some type of overlay. That happens all the time. Because, like, for example, in that gentleman's thing of his testimonial, there were tons of or uhs and stuff like that I clipped. And I made it so it's just absolutely tight with it there and falling under that minute range by doing things of putting those different pieces over top of it.
So we have Mike from YouTube. He's asking, do you use GoPro for your BTS? I know from the image towards the beginning, you had DJI, Insta360. I didn't notice GoPro in the collection.
I haven't for a long time. That was the very first one I ever had, was I did that. And I actually did it on a microphone stand at a wedding back in the day for getting a view because it was a rabbi that didn't want us being too close. And so I had that actually taking timed pictures with it, but then we ended up using it also as BTS.
Another question is, what was the AI that you recommended for that quick editing?
It's amazing. Hold on. Let's see if I can pull this up. And my camera is almost out of batteries on my thing there. But if it does, I can still go with the audio. But let me bring up Canva real quick. And let's see here. So with it,
now let's share.
Yes. Oh, I'm not sharing. My bad. Woo.
No.
Sharing. Okay. Are we shared? You can see me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. Or rather, you can't see me, hopefully, and you can see my screen. So with this here, you can go right into on Canva and it has videos with it there. So say I go create blank there, I'm going for a video and I want stuff to come into here. Right now, it has the ability generate videos instantly, upload media and a short description, and it'll generate the videos. So with it there, and it also I can change the different sizes and stuff like that to making it be like the right type of thing there. Because right now it's, let's see, let's go Instagram story, continue. So that first that's right, resize this design, great. Okay, and now generate these videos. Well, I can go into different things of videos that I've already included. So let's just take these couple things here and go generate. Oh, and I got to tell it, headshot photographer BTS promo video. Okay. And it literally on my Instagram, I made one of these the other day and I just slightly tweaked it. But what's nice is that this one allowed some level of tweaking.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. And here we go. Let's play. And then what it needed tweaking on was I ended up switching just the background because it has my logo already stored in LinkedIn of just changing it to being blue and a color so that it would show that.
Nice.
But I mean that's pretty good of it picking from just random clips. I just provided it. It provided some good different things there of you can see it's starting nicely with a sweep, like of the different stuff of the material. That would be perfectly acceptable. And that just took us 30 seconds.
So yeah, I kind of wished I had a stopwatch just to see what it actually took, but
yeah.
I don't think it was even necessary.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was incredible.
All right, so let us stop your share.
And you saw it even came up with good things like ChatGPT-ish type of things of like the content of what it's putting for the different, little headings that it put in the things there. But you can even go and change that if you want to, if you didn't like what it was saying. So.
All right, so for the person that was asking, it was the AI video generative tool directly in Canva. So
directly in Canva.
Yeah. All right. Well, before your battery dies, Vail, that was fantastic. Thanks so much for all the information.
Oh, truly my pleasure.
To our viewers, thank you as well for taking the time to watch. If you'd like to find more content like this, please search YouTube for BH Event Space. This has been another edition of the BH Virtual Event Space. Have a great afternoon.